Welcome to Fearfully Made Podcast. We're so glad you're here today. Today, we are going to dive into who we are, why we're here, what is Fearfully Made, and why should you even be listening to us? I'm Marissa.
And I'm Kim.
And we are Fearfully Made Podcasts.
Welcome to our podcast.
Oh my gosh, Kim, episode 1. I'm kind of, a little anxious. How are you feeling?
I am too. I'm nervous.
I'm nervous, but I'm excited. I'm really excited for what we're going to be talking about. So let's dive into that.
Yes.
What is Fearfully Made?
Well, I would say it's going to be a podcast that will allow families to experience or be recognized of what they are going through, and us kind of supporting and helping them and letting them know that they are not seen or not unseen. They are seen through a lens of Christ.
I love that.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm so excited. I'm a parent myself, and I know that throughout my journey, my kids are now teenagers, especially whenever they were little. Like, I needed someone to walk alongside me and to give me some wisdom. So a little background on who we are and how this even came to be. Kim and I are professionals that have been called to work daily with kids in multifaceted areas. Our main focus over the last few years has been working with kids with special needs, and that's been an amazing experience. So we met, what has it been, a year now?
Yes.
A year ago?
I started with a company in August of 2022 in the Tulsa, Oklahoma region. And I was living in Baton Rouge, and I would travel to the location once a month. And I can't remember, Marissa, what month did you start at
I
this?
started in May of last year. So it's literally been like a year and 2 months. But when we met, we instantly clicked.
Yes.
And realized that our fundamental foundational beliefs about kids and what they need to be successful really aligned. And the more that we talked, odd relationship. Kim was my supervisor, and but we realized that as we began to talk, that we had a lot of knowledge between the years of experience between us, just
Right.
getting to know kids and how to develop healthy relationships and communication with them. So if you're struggling with that, you have found the perfect place to be, because we are going to do a lot of talking about how do I talk to my kid? What does that look like? And I'm super excited about it.
Yes, me too.
Where do you feel like we're going on this podcast?
Where do I even begin? I believe that this podcast is not only going to help families on the spectrum, but families who are experiencing the suffering with kids on the spectrum, kids with special needs, just raising their children in today's world. I don't think it's just solely going to be special needs children. I think we're going to help families recognize that we are all suffering and we are all going through trials and tribulations, and we're going to be able to support each other if we can just be vulnerable and share our stories with one another and teach each other what has worked, what hasn't worked, how we're going to implement certain strategies as far as managing behavior, not only in our kids, but just in ourselves as well. Like, I think a big part of the practice that I was in behavioral health really focused on implementation from the adult's perspective on the child, but we never talked about the impact that the child had on the adult. And so it really does wind down to, I call it a dance, we're dancing with each other. There's a leader. Sometimes they lead, sometimes you lead. So I think, to summarize, we are going to help families be heard and recognized for their precious moments, their strengths, their weaknesses, etc.
Exactly. I love it. I had mentioned before our fundamental beliefs of what we believe kids need to be successful. And I think you really hit that really well. So, Kim's background is in behavioral health. My background is in neurological health. One thing that we talk about in neurological health is that in order to be able to help a child regulate themselves, I have to be regulated first. I can't help someone if I am on 12 and they're on 12, then we're all going for a ride, right? So I am so excited about this. When Kim and I started talking about Fearfully Made, like, why would we even choose that name? What does that even mean for us? We landed on this scripture, and I want to read it to you guys because I think it really sums up what we believe about kids and what we believe our purpose is in supporting families as they walk this out in their real life.
Yes.
Psalm 139, 13 says, "For you created my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb, and I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made in the secret place. When I was woven together into the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." And I look at my own kids, and I had the opportunity this weekend to go to a youth camp, and I was watching these kids and I was like, this is incredible. These kids were made for such a time as this. And it is our job as parents, as caregivers, as aunts and uncles and grandparents who are walking with kids to support them and to help them learn how to walk in this world, because this world is so hard. And I see that every day with my kids. So I'm so excited that we are doing Fearfully Made podcast. I'm so excited that I'm doing it with you, because
Me
I think
too.
between the two of us, we have a lot of knowledge, personally and professionally, to help parents walk out their daily life. We're glad
Yeah.
you're here, guys. So
Yes.
let's dive in to like some stuff, some topic-y stuff that we might be talking about. We'll do kind of just like a short little thing. And then as you guys go through our episodes, you guys will get to see some really in-depth procedures and
Right.
some ways that you can walk with your kids. So
Right.
I want to talk about what I think as a parent and as a provider is the most important of all the things, the foundation of everything: relationship.
That is so strong. Yes. Yeah.
That's so
Yes.
hard.
What kind of
So,
relationship do you have with your children? Yeah.
yeah. So let's talk about, if you're a professional listening, you probably would call this pairing with your clients.
Right.
If you're in the school industry, you're probably going to call this building rapport. So when I am, and as a parent, obviously it's just relationship. Relationship is every day, right? It's something that can be built and it's something that can be lost very
Yeah.
quickly, right? So let's dive into, what does it look when I meet somebody for the first time, specifically someone who's on the spectrum?
Well, some things that I like to consider when I'm even meeting, it depends on the age, right? So when I'm meeting, let's say, a child who's never received services or who's never engaged outside the comfort of their comfort zone, which can be their house, their bedroom, etc. I think it's important that we wait on them. And so we can create an environment that is enriched by bringing out different and various items and playing with them. I think time and time again, a lot of what we do, and I get it, as parents, as professionals, we are exhausted because the demands of this world, I mean, are just grueling, right? And we have expectations that we need to meet. And so it's difficult to go, okay, how do I tap into my inner child? Which is something that God always brings into my heart. And in scripture is just reminding us of it's important to be like a child, to be innocent. And so I think in these moments when we are building rapport, when we are trying to pair with our kids, you have to create an enriching environment, an inviting environment, and allowing them to come to you. And that might not take 10 minutes. You know, we all have these expectations of putting timelines on things. Sometimes it takes about an hour. And you could take breaks in between. That doesn't mean you have to sit there for the full duration of 60 minutes, you know? So, yeah.
My family has a joke about me. It's kind of funny. Kids are like a moth to a flame for me. I
Yes.
remember this specific time my husband was going to have surgery,
Mm.
and we're sitting in the waiting room. He's about to go in, and this little girl walks up to me and she just starts talking. Like she had some toy or something. And I didn't really say anything to her. I just looked at her. I was like, yeah, like she sits down, she keeps talking. Um, and my mother-in-law looks at me and she's like, "Do you know this girl?" I'm like, "No, girl." Never met this girl a day in my life. I think whenever we're building rapport, a lot of times we think we have to have this like, "I'm Marissa. It's nice to meet you. What do you like? Who are you?" You know, this speech, right? To get to
Yes.
know people. But what I've learned, especially spiritually, with kids on a spiritual level, is they just want to be seen, they want to
Right.
know, and they want to be known. All
Yeah,
they
I
want
couldn't
is to
agree with you
come in.
more.
They can fill a whole script without you saying a word.
Right.
So oftentimes for me, if I'm meeting a new client, more than anything, I'm just observing. I'm smiling, I'm nodding when they speak. Um, Especially a client who is on the spectrum, a lot of times they don't see the need for a lot of words, right? So if
Mhm.
you come in asking questions and you come in just like, "Hi, la, la, la," just like on 12, they're like, "Not this lady, I'm out of here," right? And they're trying to escape and they're just like, uh, "Lady, all I wanted to do was, play with the blocks. Like, you don't have to talk to
Right.
me. Calm down." And I see this a lot in my profession whenever I see professionals meeting new clients and parents coming in. I do want to talk about, for parents, that nervousness.
Oh,
When you
yeah.
come in, this kid has been, I know for myself, so I have a neurotypical and an atypical child. Um, and I really, for myself, protected that child, right? Like I can control, and I even talk with this doctor about this frequently. I control his environment really well. Like
Right.
he does fine at home. It's okay. But when I leave my house, that's when we're seeing the problems. So, what would you say to a parent? They're coming in for the first time, their kid's going to be seen. There's a lot of anxiety. This is not an environment I can control anymore. How do
Mm.
you help parents walk that out?
The biggest thing for me when I meet a parent for the first time with all of the anxiety, all of the history that they've already experienced, you have to be compassionate. You have to. You can't go into your first meeting saying, we're going to fix these, we're going to do this, this, and this to help gain control. Because I think a lot of us as behavioral health professionals, we try to create this complex of the Messiah. And we want to go in and already automatically fix the problem. But in that instance, I think it's so important that we meet them where they are feeling emotionally and understanding that, yeah, I can't imagine having to raise kids in not only in this day and time, but also a kid with specific needs that require a lot of attention, and I want to meet you where you're at, and I want to experience those emotions. Sometimes I think in the moment, the biggest thing that I have learned meeting with these parents is like all they've been looking for is somebody to understand what they've been going through. And I think when we take that away from them in that initial response and that initial engagement, you take away that feeling that they've been harboring and what they've been wanting to spill over for so many months, years, etc. And just to tell them, like, this journey is going to be hard, yes, and it's going to be hard because raising kids isn't easy. And so I just want to let you know that I'm here to support you in whatever you need.
I love that. I think a lot of times as a parent, whenever I would meet a professional, and I am a professional, so I
You know
understand
exactly what, yeah.
it. I understand it because I meet families and I'm like, oh, I can help you. Like, this is your problem. We got this. It's going to be great. You're going to love this.
Right.
And I can easily, and I was often met with professionals that would come in and be like, oh, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. But as a parent, when I came in, a lot of times they would talk to me about things that I didn't think was a problem. So I
Mm,
think it's really easy for professionals, whenever they see a client, to assume what the issue is, what needs to be fixed, and what needs to be addressed. And I think what makes a good professional, what makes someone that you can go alongside with and do life with, is someone who just listens, someone
yes.
who walks in the room and says, hey, what are you needing? How can I support you today? And I think we talked about at the beginning of the podcast that this isn't just about kids on the spectrum, because parents who have atypical kids need it just as much as neurotypical kids. So,
Yeah.
like, we both, no matter who you are, you need someone that can walk alongside you. The Bible tells us iron
Right.
sharpens iron, right? So we
Yes.
all need to live in community, and to live in a community where we're supported, where we're seen, and where we can say things that are maybe uncomfortable, and we can digest things that are uncomfortably said to us.
Right.
And I love that that carries over no matter who you are. I think a lot of times
Right.
parents who have kids on the spectrum or with special needs feel alone.
Yes.
There have been many times where I've gone to a soccer game or I've gone to a school event and nobody wanted to sit with me. And I felt so alone because my kid was a problem. They were loud. They were the mad kid because they had a meltdown of some sort.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
me, that's my everyday life, right? So I'm just like not understanding why people are being like, what?
Who's this
Um,
lady?
but what I have learned is there are families, there are friends, there are people who are also walking through the same thing. And if we can just look and see the people around us and meet them where they're at rather than where we want them to be, we
Right.
can cultivate some really great relationships and friendships as parents and
Yeah.
individuals.
Yes, yes. I'm excited to talk about these topics and how they relate to our faith. Like, a lot of people question Christianity or our religious beliefs, and then question how science and spirituality are married together. And I hope on this podcast we can show you guys what God can do through Marissa and I, with the knowledge that he's given us, and basically the ministry that he's given us to pour into uh the world. Basically, I mean, we want to hit the masses in regards to just helping families be heard, seen, uh and I guess just, yeah, heard and seen and helped and served, right?
Absolutely. I love it. On that topic,
Yes.
how would you say that your faith plays in to your professional life?
That's a great question. Okay, so I think no matter where I was, no matter what industry I was in, no matter what company I was in, I was always reminding myself that I was a child of God from the beginning. I wasn't the title, the degree, I wasn't the accolade that culture or the company had gave me, but I was always somebody who was fearfully made and wonderfully made by God. And I served that. I tried to at least serve him throughout all of my ministry, in my work, in my career, etc.
I love that. I would say that my faith is the foundation of, as we stated in the beginning of the podcast, what I believe about kids. If there's anything that I know for sure, it's that you cannot have a relationship with anybody without love. And
Yes.
when my clients come to me, when my kids' friends come to me, when I'm building a relationship with anybody, whether it be a child or an adult, I believe that the foundation of that is love. And when I go to work every day and I'm working with my clients, my number one focus is, how do I love you the best? We
Right.
can work on things. We can work on your speech. We can work on your behaviors. We can work on potty training. We can work on building rapport. But the most important foundation of that is that you know that when you come in here and that when you're in a session with me, you are loved, you are seen, you
Mm.
are valued, and what you are feeling and the way you're seeing the world is important to me. And I am so excited because I think a lot of professionals lay their fundamental beliefs down at the door, at the
Yes.
mat when they walk in, and they leave them there to become what the company that they work for says they should be,
Yeah.
and to perform what their boss says they should perform, instead of picking it up and saying, listen, this is who I am. I'm going
Right.
to love you when you're screaming. I'm going to love you when you're flipping tables. I'm going to love you when you clear this whole room out and everybody walks away because you're screaming so loud. I'm going to walk in and I'm going to face you and I'm going to walk with you and I'm going to love you through that. And I love that we have a platform
Yeah.
to talk about how God can love you and how we can be a reflection of him to our kids, to our clients,
Mhm.
and to the world around us. I'm so excited about this podcast. Thank you
Yeah.
guys so much for joining us for episode 1. We can't wait to dive into more. We have a lot to talk about. Have a
Yes.
great day,
Thank you
guys.
so much.